Hey guys, my name's Jonathan Reich. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Louisiana. I'm not your licensed CPA. I'm also not a CFA or a CFP or anything other than a CPA. No acronyms, no nothing. None of this is financial advice. But now that we've got all that out the way, let's talk about some of the things I see day to day. So I get to see a lot of people's personal financials because, well, I'm a CPA. I advise the public and just try and help out where I can. So that makes me a really good candidate to talk about some of these platforms that we're about to run over. So let's say you're in the market for a new credit card. You're trying to find who's got the best points, who's got the lowest fee, who's going to be able to give you the highest limit, stuff like that. Well, if you just start Googling like credit cards, you're probably going to get a sponsored link to NerdWallet. That's my first guess. But just because there are so many credit cards out there, there are now tools out there that you can use to help compare the different cards out there. And so that's what I want to talk about today. I don't want to like try and push a credit card to you or anything like that because that'd be unethical. It's not allowed, and I won't do it. But I can talk about some of the tools that you can use to measure up and find a card that fits you and your lifestyle. And so let's jump right in and talk about what those are. So the first one I want to talk about is bestmoney.com. And we're going to go over some of the other big names out there as well. We've got NerdWallet, WalletHub, Credit Karma, Bankrate. You've probably heard of a lot of these. Bestmoney.com, though, to me is going to be my top pick just because of how efficient it is. So I bill by the hour. I'm constantly short on time. I never have enough time to finish whatever I'm working on that day. And so that is a real draw to me in regards to Best Money because it's efficient. They're just going to get right to it. So you can go over here. You can see their homepage is clean. It's easy to find what you need and click on credit cards. Well, what am I looking for? Cash back, balance transfers, who's the best, why are they the best, approval odds, rewards rates. It's all right here. It's nice. And that's why I think Best Money is the best one because it's right there. You can just filter down. So it's just yeah, it's that easy. So where Best Money really shines is the speed. As you can see, I just clicked on what I needed. The dashboard is stripped down. You get the rate, the term, the fees. This is ideal because it respects my time. Comparisons are really easy compared to almost any other site. We'll see. We'll go through some of these other ones. It's just apples to apples. You're getting the nuts and bolts of it. You're not getting 100 different things in the banners over here, and you're not going to have to deal with any pop-up ads or sponsored or anything like that. Now, obviously, some of these are going to be sponsored placements, so do your own research, do your own due diligence. But if I'm looking for whatever has the highest rewards rate or the lowest fee or anything like that, this is really easy to sift through. And then they're very clear about what is an ad and what's a sorted result. So in this industry where everything is built on sponsored content, it's pretty refreshing. Some of the drawbacks, though, in my opinion, it doesn't have that massive library like NerdWallet does on like the how-to guides. If you need someone to explain to you what an APR is or how compounding interest on a credit card works, you may need to shop around and go check out Investopedia or ask your parents or grandparents or something like that because Best Money is not going to give that to you. You may just need to do a quick Google search and educate yourself because this is getting a credit card application is not a lottery ticket. Essentially, Best Money assumes you're here to do business and you know what you're talking about. You know what you're doing. The next one I want to talk about is NerdWallet. I think this one's owned by Intuit now, and so you can't talk about personal financials without talking about NerdWallet, just like you can't talk about cars without mentioning the Toyota Camry. It's just, it's ubiquitous. And so they get a spot here because they have, in my opinion, the widest content library out there. People who just need something niche or don't know what they need, NerdWallet's going to have it. People who are new to credit, they're going to get the most out of it, in my opinion. If someone doesn't know the difference between a secured card and an unsecured card, NerdWallet will explain it to you. Where NerdWallet really shines is the writers are legit. I mean, they have some really well written pieces on some pretty dry and boring stuff. I feel that the reviews are pretty fair, they're thorough, and they include, well, nerdy details. That's why it's called NerdWallet, that a lot of other sites may not care to jump into and to get after. So other things that NerdWallet features is calculators, so you can estimate things that you can estimate things on like what your compounding interest rate may be, how much you're going to pay in interest, stuff like that. If you're looking to get a mortgage, If we want to just showcase what their credit cards look like, it's going to be similar. You can see how the layout is a little different. The trust factor with NerdWallet is also a big plus. It's really high because they're going to have a ton of large name brand cards out there that, well, you're going to be familiar with the Discover card, for instance. And so you can see here they have all these different items, and you can stack the Capital One Venture X card and compare it to the Discover card and compare it to the Chase Sapphire card. And you can see who it's good for, what it's good for, but it's just a lot more. It's a lot more overwhelming. Whereas maybe I just want to drill into one and see what it offers. That's my comparison between Best Money and NerdWallet. And that's going to be the downside of NerdWallet is there's so much noise. There's just so much. You have to scroll past a lot of general advice to find like actual apply now buttons. If you're looking for specific items, you have to be very narrow and focused, and NerdWallet can kind of get away from you if you're not careful. So keep that in mind. The next one I want to talk about is WalletHub. So for me, WalletHub is a tool that is best used if you're trying to find something very specific, very niche. It's like a needle in a haystack. They have data on what seems to be everything. And so they're just going to be able to have all of those really, really small credit unions that may have like a really good credit card or something like that. WalletHub's going to have access to it, and so will Bankrate. We'll talk about them in a second. So where it wins, they just list every card. Every card is on WalletHub. It seems like credit union cards, obscure regional banks, folks like that that have low APRs, good rewards. WalletHub's going to have it. You can get credit score updates and reports faster than almost anyone else in the free tier. Credit Karma has always kind of shined on that. WalletHub does a good job of it as well. And then they have really good visuals that can help you show your credit standing and how it compares to like the national average, folks your age, how much debt you have, stuff like that. Some of the drawbacks are the user interface is aggressive. It's crowded. It's got a lot of charts, numbers, relentless call to actions. Click me, drill into this. It's not calm. And so once again, kind of like NerdWallet, if you're not paying attention, you can find yourself reading about unsecured personal loans for a boat when you were looking for a credit card. It happens. We all want to treat ourselves, right? And so just make sure you're focused. Make sure you took your Adderall that morning, and stay on the straight and narrow. And WalletHub will probably have whatever you're looking for. The next one I want to talk about is Credit Karma. So Credit Karma is owned by Intuit. They have a ton of data flowing through them as well, and so they're just like supercharged. The biggest mistake I see clients making when they apply for like credit cards though is not knowing what their credit score is or if they even have one. So Credit Karma, I can point them to Credit Karma and say, well, what's your score? Are you going to be able to get approved for this? You don't want to make a mistake and then apply for a card and then get rejected, because then it hurts your credit even more and it's this vicious cycle, and you don't want to do that. So Credit Karma is a really good tool for that. And then once you're in the platform and you're logged in, there's going to be a ton of different offers out there. It's going to show you approval odds. It's going to show you the different cards. It's going to show you integrations, things like that. Like if you use TurboTax or QuickBooks, they all tie together in that Intuit ecosystem. So, but like I said, Credit Karma's strongest suit is the credit monitoring. It's free, it's instant. They can show you, what your score is in real time. If you see an odd transaction or a new loan that wasn't you, that can help be an early screening for identity theft. And then they can showcase cards that you're likely to be able to obtain. But the drawback to me with Credit Karma is it's very, 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 very salesy. Lots of push ads, lots of notifications. Hey, log in. Here's an email. Check. Hey, was this you? That's Credit Karma, and I don't like that. So I get emails and stuff like that. I'm constantly unsubscribing. I don't want a new card once every 2 weeks. It's not necessary. So they're a little aggressive on that, and I don't like that. But they have a good user interface, and they have their own niche, in which is that credit monitoring and stuff like that. So the next one I want to talk about is Bankrate. Bankrate's been around for longer than I've been alive. It was doing print publications before the internet was a thing. So in my opinion, Bankrate have earned a mark because of their accuracy and longevity. When the Fed raises rates, Bankrate is usually the first one to update their tables, and they're less focused on the gamification of credit. They're like points and milestones, and like here's what you can get. They're speaking facts, they're speaking data. I like that as an accountant, and so they definitely have a spot because of that. They're just straightforward. But once again, you can kind of drill in and see here's their card offerings, here's the layout. It looks very similar to Best Money, which is probably why I like both these platforms. But you can just kind of filter through, pick what you want, and you'll be able to find whatever you're looking for. And that filtering option is really, really powerful if you have something that you're after, particularly maybe you want a decent rewards rate, but you don't have a great credit score and you don't want a super high APR. Maybe Bankrate can help you find that. So in my opinion, it's super reliable. It's got updated data all the time. It's got a really wide scope like Best Money. They cover things like mortgages and CDs as well. And then they're professional. They've been around for a while. They're serious. They take their financial operation seriously. It's a good one. The drawbacks are, well, it feels a bit corporate. It's very bank-esque. Online banking, if it could wear a suit, that would be Bankrate in my opinion. So it's not super modern. There's not an intuitive feel like some of these newer platforms like Credit Karma or Best Money, for instance. So do keep that in mind. The last one I want to talk about is the points guy. And so this one it's a slippery slope for me as a CPA because I don't want to advertise cards or how to get yourself into trouble or anything like that. Just talking about the tools that you can use to find some of these personal budget options. And the points guy has a spot because it's very niche. The platform essentially says, here's how you can get the most points. Here's how you can get the most reward points. Spend more money, get more points. Get sign-up offers, bonus offers, things like that. But if you're spending money in order to get points, if you had to spend $750 to get $500 worth of points, that's irresponsible. And so I don't necessarily love that. But they do talk about all the different credit cards out there, and so therefore they needed a spot on the list. And so you can jump over here and see their best overall credit cards. It's going to look very similar to a lot of the other platforms we've talked about today. So where they do a good job is evaluation. They tell you exactly what points are worth, so you're comparing apples to apples. You're not trying to figure out, well, is 5 miles the equivalent of 10 reward points or anything like that. They break it down and say, this is the dollar value of what it's worth, and then this is how you can compare it. So spend $1, get 1 cent. Spend $10, get a dime. And I like that. So, and then transfer partners, they have really good guides on how to move points from American Express to Delta, or from Chase to United. Some of these airfare folks that partner with a lot of these larger credit cards, like this Capital One Venture X business card that's good for flying, good for high spenders, stuff like that. And then they do a good job of just kind of selling, hey, here's how you can get first class travel. Here's how you can get that vacation in Hawaii by just doing what you already do, which is not necessarily true, guys. Keep that in mind. If anyone's selling you that, they have an ulterior motive. But they do a good job on comparing the credit cards, and so I wanted to include them on this list. The drawbacks, they're useless to people who are carrying a credit card balance. If you are carrying $10,000 of credit card debt at a 24% APR, it doesn't matter if you're getting $100 worth of points at the end of the year. You're paying $2,400 to carry that credit card debt. And so that's going to be the majority of people. The majority of people do not pay off their credit cards every month. And so these points are irrelevant. So that's a really, really weak argument for this platform. But the other thing is their site is also extremely heavy on ads and affiliate links. So sometimes it can be hard to find non-promotional cards. So, okay, so the roundup. How do we use all these platforms? I just gave you a lot of information very quickly. So my strategy, in my opinion, is check your baseline, use Credit Karma or some free credit monitoring platform. Know what your score is. Make sure that you're able to get a card. Okay, so now you know your credit score is a 720. You should be able to get approved for most cards. Compare the math. Go to Best Money and see the apples to apples comparisons of the cards that you're looking at. Check and see if maybe actually if a personal loan might work, because I always advise people stay away from credit cards unless you're capable of responsible spending. Most people are not. See if a personal loan might work because the APR is going to be much lower, and that is like just a sanity check. If you just need $1,000 or $2,000 to cover a new refrigerator, don't go get a Lowe's card that has a 32% APR. Go get a personal loan or something that is maybe an 8% APR, 15% APR. It's way better than that 32% APR. Keep that in mind. And then do a deep dive on that card. You can check out NerdWallet, Best Money. And then return to the platform that can get it to you the quickest. You can sign up, get the card, and have the card in the mail. Maybe a lot of these cards now do electronic cards to where it can go like on your Apple Wallet pretty quickly, stuff like that. So just depending on the situation you're in. So that's how I would use the platforms. You can kind of mush them all together and figure out what's going to fit your situation best, and then hopefully you pick the right platform that lays it all out, tells you this is what your APR is, it's accurate, it gives you good terms, good information, and now you've got the card or the money that you need, guys. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you were able to pick up on some of this. I know it was a lot. It was very fast paced, but on to the next one.